Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ready to start another great race in the Precision Racing League. Green flag flies, we're underway. Side by side, door-to-door contact. Incredible action here in the PRL. And they come together. After all the fighting, it ends in tears.
Hello, everybody. For one final time in 2024 Season 3 here at the Precision Racing League. Once again, we have two great series on the cards here for you. First up, of course, the GR86-MX5 series, followed by Super Formula. I'm Reese Gardner, Mark Kalin with me in the commentary box. Mark, it is, one final jump into the breach for some great racing. We have some champions to decide tonight.
Indeed we do. We have very tight battles across both classes of cars, and we will get back to that in just a moment when we show you the point standings. But Reese, it is going to be exciting and it's going to be intense, and these drivers are going to put it all out on the line for you.
They are indeed. We're racing at Virginia International Raceway in the GR86 and MX5 series for the final round of the season. And we have gone through some fantastic tracks all across the world here. Winton Motor Raceway started off the season all the way back in June, and then we ran the gamut through Europe, and then 3 races in America before the 4th and final American race here at Virginia International Raceway. And there was great racing at every single one of those rounds, which resulted in these standings. Brett Gardner only 3 points ahead of Andrew Sharp in the GR86 standings for the championship lead. They are a long way ahead of Maxime David and Jean-Sebastien Bedard, the teammates at the No Team team. Jake Cummings will have to be careful. He has usually been playing rear gunner for Brett Gardner over the course of the season, but he's fallen off in the last few rounds and hasn't gotten the points that he's wanted. Matthew Wyckoff has great potential for results here. He can certainly jump up the standings a bit in the final round. So can Keith Gwinnett with a fantastic last couple of rounds too. If Graham Wildman is around, we'll see what he can do as well, down in 240 points on the cards here. But he's going to have a brilliant result with everyone else crashing out for him to achieve anything like that. Tech Sport Academy by AMS leads the team's championship by almost 100 points over the No Team team. So you're not going to be seeing much change in the team's championship, at least at the very top. Looking further down the standings, it seems like it's going to have to be some massive variance in results between drivers for any big changes in the team's standings here. So we can basically give Tech Sport Academy the team's championship from here. In the MX5 class, it's also pretty close. Lincoln Fox and Michael Chase, they're only separated by 15 points. Pat LaBrosse only another 4 points behind their teammates with Fox and Chase at the Itasca points squad. So let's see how they work themselves out with only 4 MX5s in the standings here. Aaron Myers, if he has a good result, he's the other MX5 here tonight, will certainly want to get that done. Itasca Point Green is going to lead the standings coming into the final round. Again, it's nearly 100 points the gap, so we're not going to be seeing much of a change there. Certainly not for second with Solpec Precision Racing, 301 points behind Itasca Point Blue. Well, before we get into the racing action tonight, we have to thank the many sponsors who make it happen here at the Precision Racing League, including Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available on the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Go to advancedsimracing.com. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and you can also get a 5% discount there using the Precision 5 coupon code. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Muradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Murad. Go to muradness.com, also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. MrHedge.co.uk. And finally, get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. Name a conventional social media platform that everybody knows about, and they're on it. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Threads. All right. That is all of our sponsors acknowledged and thanked, and we do thank them for helping to provide all of the brilliant action that we've seen over the course of this season, Mark. But now we get down to brass tacks at VIR. We're in qualifying at the moment to see who is going to get pole position for that brilliant GR86 battle.
Yeah, and VIR is a beautiful racetrack, and it has its own set of complications as well, whether it be trying to navigate the S's or the tight, twisty, technical section of the final sector coming to the start-finish line straight. But these drivers, I think, are going to put on a heck of a show in practice. Andrew Sharp and Brett Gardner were the class of the field, as they should be, with a championship to duke out this evening. So, Reese, I don't know who to put my money on. I think it's going to be a 50-50 shot, as we have seen many times this season between Andrew and Brett Gardner duking it out at many of the racetracks around the world. But regardless, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I cannot wait for the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, I can't wait either. Honestly, it's going to be fantastic because, you know, looking at the official PRL spreadsheet, it looks like there is 4 points between them for the top of the standings here, as Andrew Sharp is laser focused on getting his car to the line here to set his first hot lap. PRL sporting regulations show that it's basically going to be the difference between finishing first and finishing third, and that's before you take into account the extra points for pole position and fastest laps. So the championship could be decided by who gets pole or who gets fastest lap in the race. We honestly don't know. It's entirely up in the air here between Andrew Sharp and Brett Gardner, but Sharp is the one on top in the standings at the moment, with Ian Brown and Brett Gardner putting in some great times as well. Gardner 6/10 off Andrew Sharp's fastest lap there, so he's going to have to gear up the pace a little more.
Yeah, and I'm sure he has it within himself, but right now Andrew Sharp classing the field and adding a little bit of pressure to Brett Gardner, making sure that Brett has to put in the perfect lap if he wants to secure pole position this evening.
Yeah, indeed. As we follow Brett Gardner through the S's, the very difficult section of this beautiful historic track. We'll talk about the MX-5s a little bit as well. Peter Moller, currently the only driver to have set a time in the MX-5 class. We see that Myers, Fox, and Austin Bartlett Chase are in there. No Pat LaBrosse. I thought that we would see Pat here at the final round. He wasn't here for round 8, but yeah, unfortunately, it looks like we'll only have Lincoln Fox and Austin Bartlett Chase here from Itasca Point to get the race done. And effectively what that means is all of Lincoln Fox's closest championship rivals aren't here, so we can almost congratulate him now on getting the championship. But of course we won't count our eggs before they've hatched, Mark. You got to finish to get those points.
Yeah, and essentially all he has to do is take the green flag and the championship is his, unless Michael Chase decides to show up here in the last couple of minutes of qualifying, but that does not appear like it's going to happen. So yeah, I'm not going to count my eggs before they hatch either there, Reese, but he'll at least have to take the green flag before we can crown him a champion.
Well, flag for the final lap is about to be taken here for Brett Gardner, who sets a 2:06.9, and that will put him in second place. He would have thought that would have been enough for pole position, but Andrew Sharp went faster just before that. So it is neck and neck between our GR86 championship rivals. Here's Austin Bartlett Chase in the MX-5, meanwhile making his way into NASCAR Bend here in the first part of this circuit. Very difficult sector to get right, I must say. There's so many corners here, very easy to mess up, and you got to be careful coming into this section of S-bends. It's very easy for the rear end to kick out over the curb, and I think the drivers will have to be careful of that on the opening lap.
Yeah, the rear ends of these cars get very unstable through that section of the track. Very easy to loop the car around if you get down on the power too hard or just carry too much speed through the corner. But as you mentioned, with Brett Gardner only 7/100ths of a second behind Andrew Sharp, that is as predicted and as the doctor ordered for us and the fans out there watching out there wherever you might be.
Yeah, exactly. And man, I was a little scared there seeing Austin Bartlett Chase for a second. The turns coming up to Oak Tree, very difficult to get right, especially with that huge dip you go through, and obviously struggling with the rear end a little bit there in the MX-5. It doesn't matter what car you're driving at VIR. There's some place that's going to catch you out. So Austin will be hoping that that's going to be enough for him to at least set another lap within the range of Peter Moller. We haven't seen Lincoln Fox set a qualifying lap yet. In fact, is he even out on track? he is. He actually hasn't set a valid lap yet. This is his third lap, and he's obviously gotten off tracks on all 3 of them. Well, Austin Bartlett Chase is going to come to the line here and record one of his final times. What is it going to be? It will be a 2:09.5, unfortunately, 6/10 off his best lap time. So let's see what Lincoln Fox can do here. He's been at times the class of the field in the MX5s, obviously the most consistent driver over the course of the season in this class, and we'll be hoping that this lap counts with 44 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, only 2 more corners here to go to get to the start finish line, so it should be relatively easy for him to complete the lap. Now he's on to the straight, sees the start finish line ahead, 30 seconds left in qualifying, and Lincoln Fox is going to put in a 2 minute 7 second and 5.61.
That is a clear half a second over Aaron Myers. So obviously Lincoln was just gearing up for that massive lap there. Goodness gracious, showing his
I am so sorry, Reese. I was just going to point out that is 4th overall as well.
It is, yeah. That's some crazy pace from Lincoln Fox. Well, we'll go through the grid then as we get into the race session. Andrew Sharp and Brett Gardner, the championship protagonists, have locked out the front row, only separated by 700ths. Ian Brown and Graham Wildman in 3rd and 4th, with Matthew Wyckoff and Jean-Sebastien Bedard on the 3rd row. Jeremy Rogers and Keith Gwinnett, 7th and 8th. Kevin Berquist and Josiah Douglas, the 5th row, rounding out the top 10. And then we have Ewan Brown at the back of the GR86 field. In the MX5s, it's Lincoln Fox and Aaron Myers on the front row, Peter Moller and Austin Bartlett Chase rounding out your lower class field here tonight. Well, a small grid of 15 cars to take to the start here at Virginia International Raceway, but the racing is going to be as intense as it's ever been. We're going to be talking about this a lot, Mark, that battle between Andrew Sharp and Brett Gardner, and it is quite a cool track as well. 27 degrees Celsius. That's right in the range, I think, for the tires to be a little bit sketchy on the first lap or 2, but once they heat up, there should be plenty of grip available.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's very cool temperatures for the track this evening. You see the sun setting off in the distance over top of the cars, which is a beautiful shot from our director. And yeah, it's going to be a ton of grip on these tires once they get the proper tire heat into them. So it's going to be fast, it's going to be frantic, and it's going to be fascinating to watch.
Oh, it certainly is. Well, we're going to have a full formation lap being run here at VIR, so plenty of time to dissect this track. It's a nice gentle run into the first couple of turns here, but I've called many races here at VIR, and turn 1 is one of the big points there on the first lap. In fact, the entire first sector is often the scene of chaos.
Yeah, especially with the field all jumbled up as they are. They're going to be going into the first several turns side by side, right on each other's bumpers. It's going to be very little to no room for error, which usually means there will be errors made.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, they are off and to the run into the first turn here. Of course, Virginia International Raceway had its scan redone by iRacing some time ago, and not only was the scan updated, VIR was also promoted to the base content. So it is one of the tracks now that if you start iRacing, you will be racing on, and you won't have to pay extra for it like almost every other track on the service. So many drivers will be ultra familiar with this place. Coming through the chicane into the first part of the S's, it's flat out through the S's in these cars, but it is a single line affair. If you're side by side on the first lap, someone's going to have to give something up.
Yeah, it's going to require some give and take. Just depends on where you are alongside or behind the car around you. You know, you don't want to end your race on the first opening corners if you can help it at all. I mean, it's gonna take some, you know, spatial awareness from these drivers to get through the first sector of the track.
Yeah, so if you're running triple screens or VR, you'll have an advantage on the first lap, as you will at just about any track on iRacing. The MX5s have already left a good amount of space to the GR86s, and I think despite the gap that's been left by the MX5s at every round so far, they've always gotten involved with the GR86 field in some way. GR86 obviously more numerous, and there's a bit more of a pace spread in that class, so the back end of the GR86 field is going to have to contend with our MX5 front runners within the first 10 laps or so.
Yeah, and all 4 of the MX5 drivers that showed up this evening are faster than the bottom, I would say, half dozen of the GR86s. So, yeah, definitely going to be a nuisance going out for the MX5 leaders about probably the middle stage of this race.
Oh, absolutely. And then there's the long run down Madison Avenue, the back straight here at VIR. So important to get the run right out of Oak Tree and pick up the slipstream for a potential move into the roller coaster. This section here, a curved braking zone where we saw some massive racing in the, I think the second last round of the GT4 and LMP3 championship a couple of weeks ago. There was a lot of drama there. And then Hogpen, the final 2 corners. This is going to be extremely difficult to get right when you're at speed, but they will tour sedately through as the pace car will pull into the pits momentarily. Andrew Sharp leading the way at the front of the GR86 field. Brett Gardner alongside, and he accelerates, does Andrew Sharp, as the green flag flies, and we are away for the final round of the GR86 and MX5 series at VIR. Who's going to win it at turn 1? Sharp gets a great advantage. Gardner's going to have to go defensive already because Graham Wildman is going to try steaming round the outside of Ian Brown. He's caught on the outside of the circuit though, and he might have to try and line up a move through NASCAR Bend. A nice clean start for our GR86s, and the same is true for the MX5 field. Lincoln Fox and Aaron Myers leading the way, but the GR86s are starting to get some drama on here. Ian Brown has lost the position to Graham Wildman and now has to defend against Matthew Wyckoff. Look at how much he's working that number 83. He's lost a lot of pace there, and the top 3 are going to break away.
Yeah, the tires are cold, so the cars are slipping and sliding through these corners. And Wyckoff right on the rear bumper of Ian Brown, looking to get that draft. He may just stay in line and wait till after the S's and after they get onto the backstretch to make a move. That would be the safe bet, but that was worst case scenario for Brett Gardner to have his teammate fall behind Graham Wildman. He was hoping, I'm sure, for Ian to stay in front of Graham so that he could focus on his battle with Andrew.
Yeah, definitely. Well, coming out of Oak Tree then, the site of the former Oak Tree at the apex of that corner, now the slipstream is on. Look at how much ground the MX5s have already made up to the back of the GR86 field. Those fields are going to come together a bit quicker than we expected. The bump draft is already on here at the front of the field. Sharp and Gardner know that the championship is between them, and they want a gap over Graham Wildman. Brett Gardner right around the outside there at roller coaster. He's going to get it done there, and he's going to have one more advantage in his championship leader position. He now leads the race at the end of the first lap.
And I expected this to be a little bit calmer earlier on here, Reese, but much to my surprise and much to my excitement, it's not staying calm. Andrew Sharp coming down the front stretch right now, looking to get that draft into turn 1. Going to go to the outside, see if he can outbrake Brett into the corner and pass him around the outside. Looks like no, he's going to dip back in line. Almost created contact with the rear bumper of Brett Gardner. And Graham Wildman now looking to pounce on Andrew as well.
Oh, and it's on for the MX5 lead as well. Aaron Myers trying to go around the outside of Lincoln Fox there for the lead, but unsuccessful. for the time being. I'm sure there'll be a lot more to come in that fight there. Peter Moller is right in the midst of it as well. He is within slipstream range, so he'll be able to catch up to these two coming through the S's and down Madison Avenue if he gets his exits right. Moller has been the consistent competitor in the MX5 field. He hasn't been quite as successful at getting results as the Itasca Point drivers have, but he's always been there, and he is solidly in the championship top 5. Well, now we move into the second run through Oak Tree, and it looks like the front of the GR86 field is compressed quite a bit. Wildman, Brown, and Wyckoff have caught right up to Gardner and Sharp, as Sharp sees a way up the inside there at Oak Tree, but his exit is compromised there with a tighter run through the corner. He's going to have to hope for a bump draft from Graham Wildman, and he has got the slipstream, so it's going to be on again coming into the roller coaster. He's going to try exactly what Gardner tried here. Wildman is going to help Sharp get alongside, and Wildman is going to move into second as a result of that. Brett Gardner backs out of it early. It's still very early on in the race, so there's plenty of time for him to fight back.
What awesome battling going on early on in this race. Yeah, Brett Gardner just had a bit of a hiccup through Oak Tree, which allowed Andrew Sharp to look inside, which compromised that exit. But with the assistance of the bump drafting down the backstretch, Graham Wildman pushes Andrew Sharp in and around Brett Gardner. And now Brett Gardner looking to draft up on Graham Wildman coming into turn 1. Looking inside, looking outside. Graham looking inside on Sharp. Going to back out of it. Almost bumper-to-bumper contact. This is very tight racing for our championship leaders very early on.
It is indeed, and the MX5 front runners have already caught up to the back of the GR86s. Ewan Brown and the number 75 there, solidly in the view of Aaron Myers as our GR86 leaders make their way through the twisties at the start of the lap, and well, there we go. Ewan Brown's going to let all of them go. It looks like he's completely lost touch with the rest of the GR86 class, and he'll be hoping for incidents in front to allow him some freebies in terms of position. So that's going to be complete for now. Peter Moller and Austin Bartlett Chase fighting for the last spot in the top 3 and last spot in the MX5s as well. Only 4 of them here tonight, but you can see that the racing is just as intense as there would have been if there was a ton of them on the circuit. Always good to see these production cars racing at VIR. It's always super intense.
It really is, no matter what configuration this track is made up in. But the racing is always tight and heavy. And right now, Brett Gardner is looking to get tight and heavy on the rear end of Graham Wildman. Maybe looking at a move here at the back half of this straightaway. Looks like he's going to give him a little bump, trying to catch up at Andrew Sharp. No, he's going to duck out to the outside. And no, he's going to back off.
Yeah, looks like this is smart driving from Brett Gardner. He hasn't been getting involved with those two over the course of the lap. And, you know, I think in his championship leader position, well, at the moment, if the race were to end right now, I think Sharp would be the winner because he would have... well, actually, hang on. I think they might be tied on championship points at the moment because remember that Andrew Sharp has pole position. That's an extra point. First place gets 55 points, and it's only 50 points for third. Well, with that pass now at turn 1, Brett Gardner moves up into second, and that would give him 52 points. And that would allow him to just take the championship by, I believe, a single point. So essentially, he has to make sure that he's in a position to win. As the lead for the MX5s has changed, Aaron Myers making his way past Lincoln Fox.
Yeah, it looks like Lincoln just had a little bit of a hiccup, had to gather it back up, and doesn't appear to have any damage. So he's going to chug back along right behind Aaron. Meanwhile, to add to what you were saying, Reese, about points, currently Andrew Sharp with the fastest lap as well, so that's an additional point. I don't know if you mentioned that or not.
No, I didn't. I was going to get to that at some point. It was certainly a big point in Andrew Sharp's favor. If Brett gets the fastest lap, then that's going to complicate things ever further. So, so let's imagine we click our fingers and the checkered flag flies right now. Well, Sharp in the lead, 57 points all up. Brett Gardner in third would only get 50, and so that would promote Sharp into the championship lead by 3 points at the final round. So yeah, it truly is neck and neck between our championship protagonists at the moment, and Graham Wildman is a bit of a spanner in the works.
Yeah, meanwhile, Matthew Wyckoff managed to get around Ian Brown coming out of Oak Tree there on the backstretch, and is going to make his way through the last couple of corners. Ian looking to get that draft going for a return pass back on Matthew Wyckoff going into turn one here.
Yeah, looks like Ian's going to have some trouble trying to help out Brett Gardner here in the championship chase, especially considering Wyckoff is showing himself to be a very staunch defender, as Wildman will defend from Gardner, and Wildman takes the fastest lap. So that's a point taken away from Andrew Sharp, and that will continue to fall things a little bit into Brett Gardner's favor. Ideally, both Sharp and Gardner will want to finish in the top two, but we've seen how fast Graham Wildman is. If he can grab the win here, that just complicates things even further for the championship fight.
Well, I think if Wildman wins and the following two cars are Sharp and Gardner, I believe that would put Gardner as our championship winner.
Yeah, it would.
Currently now, I believe, with Wildman taking the fastest lap, I believe they might possibly be tied for championship lead at this point.
Yeah, potentially. 52 points for second place, 50 points for third. Add pole position to Andrew Sharp if he finishes second, that's 53 points. And so, judging by the spreadsheet that I'm looking at from PRL, 4 points between Gardner and Sharp on that spreadsheet, it means that Gardner would win the championship by 1 single point.
Man, it is that tight. That is nuts. And that's got to be a high-stress situation for both of these drivers.
Oh, it's got to be. I mean, they'll be focused on the driving, of course, as you would be at the end of a championship season, but occasionally the mind will get away from you and you'll start thinking about the championship permutations, and maybe that will introduce a bit of distraction into the mix. Everyone's already used a drop round here in this season. And so it basically means where they finish is going to absolutely define how the standings go here. In the slipstream again then for Graham Wildman, as Gardner peaks up the inside at turn one, and he's going to get up the inside of the orange number 53. Is he going to get it done by the time they get to NASCAR Bend? Not quite. Wildman's fighting him flat out through this little kink here, and then on the brakes for NASCAR Bend, and the over-under for Brett Gardner. He's going to try and nail the brakes here, but it's so difficult to make a move up the inside in this section of the circuit. This side-by-side running is allowing Andrew Sharp to get away.
Yeah, Andrew sneaking away just a little bit, coming through the tight, twisty section there. And unfortunately, the attack from Brett Gardner did not pay dividends in his favor. Graham with an excellent defense, which surprised me that he even left the bottom lane open going into turn one.
Yeah, it does surprise me there. So now Brett Gardner's in trouble because we have Matthew Wyckoff right there with him too, though Wyckoff does run into the grass a little bit. So that'll keep him behind for now. What Gardner has to do at this point is focus on the slipstream, focus on getting ahead and putting some space between himself and the three chasers there of Wyckoff, Brown, and Jean-Sébastien Bedard. With no Maxime David in this round, it looks like his teammate Bedard is definitely going to secure third in the championship if he just finishes the race. So We'll see how that works out there, as almost into the back of Brett Gardner goes Wyckoff into Roller Coaster. Side by side again for the MX5 lead meanwhile, and it's going to change again. Aaron Myers and Lincoln Fox. Well, Lincoln had a good run, but was unable to take advantage. Myers will continue leading here as they've got 5 seconds to work with over Austin Bartlett Chase.
Yeah, Aaron Myers having a great race thus far, leading Lincoln Fox out of the final corners of the lap onto the start-finish straight. Meanwhile, we have another move from Brett Gardner into turn 1 on the inside of Graham Wildman on the top of your screen. Graham going to go swinging way out wide, and they're going to be side by side coming up to NASCAR corner. Graham's still there. Brett going to look for another over-under potentially. Matthew Wyckoff is very close on Brett Gardner, so he's got to be careful. And here comes a move on Wyckoff.
Oh,
and they're gonna touch.
A little bit of contact. Easy does it. Oh, tell you what, Brett Gardner's going to be so nervous here. He doesn't want those 2 drivers behind him. Well, actually, he might want Ian Brown there because he'll distract Wyckoff and allow him to get a gap side by side through the S's, playing the team game. Ian Brown as he forces Wyckoff onto some suboptimal lines through the S's, and they're so close to making contact in the fastest corners on this lap, but that has given Gardner the gap he needs.
And finally, Ian Brown has to back off of Wyckoff, coming up to Oak Tree. And then on the exit, they're both going to dip a little bit of a tire off into the dirt. That's going to compromise their exit speed just a little bit. But Ian Brown all over the back of Wyckoff currently.
Indeed.
Fascinating racing.
Yeah, very fascinating. I love watching racing in slower cars at this circuit. You know, it's such a long circuit as well in these cars. They call this place America's Nürburgring, and for very good reason. It's difficult to get right. Pretty much every corner is treacherous, and you have a nice long straight to define the slipstream battles. So we'll see if Ian Brown will be able to find his way past Wyckoff here and maybe allow Brett Gardner further chance to catch back up to the top 3. At the moment, Andrew Sharp is comfortable in the lead. Wildman has not been able to catch up to him on this lap, but as we cross the line here, man, it is neck and neck between Sharp and Wildman for lap times here. Wildman only 0.08 of a second slower on that lap as the Valhalla Motorsport car has to go wide in turn 1. That is Ian Brown just about through here into the top 4, but again, the better run around the outside of the hairpin gives you the inside for NASCAR Bend, and it looks like Wyckoff might just keep the 4th place title here. Or will he? Ian is absolutely monstering him at the moment, and they would have lost a lot of time to the top 3 there. Now they're going to have to work together again to catch back up.
And that's great news if you're a Brett Gardner fan. That means you don't have to worry about them for a decent bit. But yeah, Ian Brown and Matthew Wyckoff, gosh, they are just muscling each other around this track and doing it cleanly. I mean, they're having a little door tap here and there, but that's just racing. I mean, this is great racing, hard racing from these 2 drivers. Great stuff.
Yeah, brilliant stuff between these drivers. It looks like Peter Moller has had some issues out there meanwhile. We haven't been watching him too intently, but I just took a look at him and noticed he had some damage to the front left. So he's had a crash out there somewhere. Unfortunate there for Peter Moller, but still only a lap down, and as long as he takes the checkered flag, he will get the minimum required distance for points. Drivers only have to complete 50% of the race winner's distance in PRL to receive championship points, and the aggression is piling on once again here for Ian Brown as he tries to grab Matthew Wyckoff, who now has the fastest lap. That is another point that's been taken away from both of our championship leaders currently running 1st and 3rd. But will Wyckoff be able to hold off Brown?
That'll be the $1 million question here, Reese, as he stays in the slipstream down the start-finish straight. Is he going to be close enough to make a move? He peeks outside, peeks inside. Is he going to stay to the inside? He is going to stay to the inside. Wyckoff really pinching him down, and there's contact. And he just pinched a little too hard. Ian had nowhere he could have gone there. Manages to gather it back up and keep it going. Only going to lose 2 spots here.
That's a shame.
But that fight
Ian
is over.
Yeah, fight is indeed over for Ian Brown. He'll fall behind Jeremy Rogers and now try and work his way back into the top 6. But for now, Brett Gardner has gotten some great pace on, working with that big gap he now has over Wyckoff and Bedard. And he'll be chasing Graham Wildman down at Madison Avenue, trying to get back into P2 here. Now, yeah, as I've been mentioning, Graham is a bit of a spanner in the works here. He does like to race hard, does Graham, and he I don't think would care too much about the championship situation. He wants to try and win this final round. So it's just going to be up to Brett Gardner here to try and work his way around. It's going to be up to Andrew Sharp to defend if Wildman brings up the aggression in the last 8 laps of this race.
Yeah, and Graham not doing anything wrong. He has every right to be in that position. So, I mean, he can fight for a win if he would like. But, you know, obviously with that, you know, you got to carry the burden of consequences as we get a replay here of Ian Brown on Matthew Wyckoff here. He's going to go onto the inside. Yeah, just a little bit too much of a pinch from Wyckoff there is going to send Ian into the grass. Doesn't look like any damage was done. And here's a replay of Peter Muller. Oh, he's going to just oversteers too much into the GR86 there and into the barrier.
Yeah, that was Josiah Douglas, who the MX5s have been making their way past Muller with a big slide, and then that sent him right into Douglas. That's such a shame. Interclass contact, and they both try to get going there. Yeah, Douglas has not re-emerged from the pit lane. Meanwhile, Jeremy Rogers, looks like, has lost 6th place to Ian Brown, who's going to try and make his way forward now. But I would say these two are going to have to work together to try and catch up to Wyckoff and Bedard up ahead. The gap between them is something around 4 to 5 seconds. So that's a long time to make up around VIR with only 15 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work, but even if he's not your teammate, you got to work together to try and catch up at this stage of the race. Don't want to fight too hard and lose more time, so that'll just hurt you both.
Yeah, indeed it will. Well, we'll see then how this works out between these two drivers. Not much to say coming out of the S's here. It looks like Jeremy Rogers just not nailing the run out of there. Much like Ian Brown is not nailing the run into Oak Tree, but definitely nails the run out. You can recover, but the GR86 is a notoriously unstable car, as a lot of drivers have found out the hard way this season.
It really is. It's a difficult car to drive, which is why a lot of drivers do enjoy racing this. Just the lack of downforce, the lack of grip, overall grip. It just makes it a fun, challenging car to drive. You can just throw it into corners, kind of slide through them a little bit, and get down on the power real quick too, because they don't have a lot of acceleration either. So you got to smash the gas to get going. But this battle for the lead, no changes at the moment. No one pressing anybody at the moment. Everyone just kind of minding their P's and Q's. Coming up on 13 minutes left to go in this race. Andrew Sharp still your leader, with Graham Wildman and Brett Gardner following suit. Still the biggest talk of the town, the championship battle. I believe currently in the favor of Brett Gardner by 1 point. Is that what you said, correct, Reese?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. With these positions being the way they are, and with Sharp already claiming the extra point for pole position, Brett Gardner still in the championship lead by a single point by our back of a napkin calculations. Oh,
you know what? I have to change that, because I didn't notice Brett Gardner put in a 2:06.73.
Oh,
so he now has the fastest lap. That's 2 points.
And that means that they're exactly. An extra point for Brett Gardner in his favor. This is going to be interesting indeed between Sharp and Gardner, with Wildman, the man in the middle, coming onto the back straight once again. And there's going to be a bit more of a run from Wildman this time around, I'm sure. Andrew Sharp was going to be the one punching the hole through the air for these guys at top speed down the back straight here, and it's not much of a top speed to be talking about. Sharp, as he's getting into the braking zone, only touching about 195 kilometers per hour. Those of you in America can do the imperial calculation yourself, but Andrew Sharp will stay in the lead for the time being, and Wildman having to back off there allows Gardner back into the fight. But I get the feeling that Brett won't be too fussed about this. As long as he can stay in touch, as long as he stays in third, he will have the championship by the slimmest of margins, yes, but it will still be secure for him. So I think he won't afford to race too hard. If Sharp responds and ends up getting a fastest lap himself, then maybe Gardner's going to dial up the aggression. But if I was Brett, I would just stay where I am and focus on getting to the flag.
Yeah, and honestly, Andrew Sharp does not have a hope or prayer to be able to get that fastest lap without the assistance of the draft, because he is leading this pack, and that's how these drivers are managing their fastest laps, with the aid of the draft. Currently, Andrew Sharp's best lap is a 2:07 flat, so that's 3/10 slower than the fastest lap of Brett Gardner currently. And if he wants a chance at it, he's going to have to drop back at least one spot behind Graham and get some draft assistance to gain a little extra time pace.
Yeah, and that would put him under attack from Gardner, wouldn't it?
It would.
Yeah, basically, he can't afford to back off here. He has to stay in the lead to keep his chances alive.
Yeah, it's one of them catch-22 situations.
Yeah, exactly. Do you try to gain an advantage by slipping behind to get the extra point and then put yourself at risk of getting passed by your championship rival, or do you stay in the lead and hope that Gardner has some kind of issue? It's neither situation is optimal for Andrew Sharp at the moment, but Brett Gardner dropping back a little more as Wildman, in the slipstream of the number 24, will stay behind on the way into Roller Coaster. Such a difficult sequence to get right. And for the time being, they will stay level coming into Hogpen. 5 laps to go when they cross the line, and we will decide a champion. For the time being, Lincoln Fox still running a solid second place in MX5, and he doesn't have any pressure on him at the moment. All of his closest championship rivals are not here tonight, and so all he has to do is finish. So Lincoln will just sit pretty where he is at the moment, as Gardner and Wildman try to trade places here through the opening corner, and Gardner's trying to dial up the aggression now again. This is a place where we've seen so many moves in both of our classes. Once again, though, Gardner has to stay behind. He needs to focus on the exit coming through the S's.
Yeah, and right now, Gret turning up the wick, dialing the pressure meter up to 10. Is he going to try and go for a move up in before the S's, or is he going to wait to the backstretch? We will have to wait and see as we ride on board.
Oh, no. Slow down. Slow down for Wildman.
And you know what? Take everything I said and throw it out the window. We don't care no more.
Yeah.
Brett Gardner is now free and clear to chase down Andrew Sharp for the win. Graham with a apparent slowdown and had to give up that position and lost a ton of time.
Yeah, and it looks like it happened at the right hook, coming into the first part of the S's. He was over the curb and took a bit of the grass, and so that registered a slowdown from the iRacing automatic stewarding system. So he had to lift off and give that time up. He is now not a factor at all in this battle for the win between Brett Gardner and Andrew Sharp, and Andrew recognizes that things are starting to get interesting here. He's going to lift off early to allow Gardner back into the championship lead, and this is going to be into the race lead, and he'll probably be focusing on trying to get the fastest lap now. Gardner in the lead. He'll be the one punching the hole through the air. He won't have another chance at getting fastest lap, but Sharp in the slipstream just might.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my thoughts exactly too, Reese. This is his one and only shot. If he wants to get that extra bonus point for fastest lap, it's got to be now with only 7 minutes left in this race. That's 4 laps. So not a lot of time left as Andrew's going to duck out wide into turn 1. He's going to stay in the middle of the track through the corner, duck back in behind Brett. I don't know if that's the correct line to make the fastest lap or not, but we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, considering how long the straights are here and how valuable the slipstream is, it almost doesn't matter what line you take through these twisty parts of the circuit, because you'll get all of that time back and then some in the slipstream. But we'll see what Andrew Sharp does. So here, so let's do some more mental calculations here. The spreadsheet says 4 points between them coming into this final round. Brett Gardner, 55 points if he takes the win from here, and 56 if he can keep the fastest lap. If Andrew Sharp with that extra point for pole position, that will be 53 points if he finishes in second place. That will still be Brett Gardner with the championship win. And oh, easy does it. Was that a slowdown potentially for Andrew Sharp? He might have had an issue there at the exit of Oak Tree. Not too sure, but he's going to fall outside a slipstream range now. That'll put him under further attack from Wildman. But yeah, if they finish where they are now, it will still be Gardner your champion. If they were somehow equal on points coming out of this final round, then Gardner would still win on countback because he has 4 wins to Andrew Sharp's 2.
Getting some input from our race director, he thinks that he's leaving more of a gap so he can get that fastest lap.
Yeah,
and that is very possible. That's food for thought. I mean, you only need about a second's worth of gap to before you start leaving the drafting space of the car ahead of you. Currently at about 0.6 of a second behind, so trying to maximize that draft effect from our race director Hugo with a little bit of input, and I think he's right on.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see Sharp catch back up to Gardner here in the twisties. And
if you're Brett Gardner here, you're maybe going a little bit extra slow through the corners trying to minimize that.
Yeah, maybe. Try and park it on the apex a little and stop Andrew from getting the full benefit of the slipstream. Graham Weldman was faster on the last lap than both of these guys. There's a chance that he might be able to catch back up. We honestly don't know at this point. 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go. And
Andrew effectively pushing Brett Gardner through the S's right now. And that's really going to compromise his lap pace and his chance at a fastest lap here. But yeah, coming back to my comment about Brett going a little extra slow through the corners, that also opens up the door as he's doing it again. He's staying far to the right out of the draft. I think he's going to go for another run at the fastest lap here. Yeah, he actually lifted. You can hear it in the RPMs. He lifted.
He did indeed. Well, interesting stuff from Andrew Sharp here. He's just got to be careful not to fall too far outside the slipstream range. It's a difficult balancing act that Andrew is doing at the moment. You know, he obviously wants to be about 1.5 seconds back at most from Gardner, because that's when you start getting the real benefits of the slipstream. But he can't afford to fall too far back because Wildman's still there and only 0.8 of a second behind. So this will be an interesting fight in the last few laps. And speaking of interesting, how about this MX5 lead battle? Lincoln Fox has dialed up the pace once again. These guys have just made their way past Keith Gwinnett there, who's currently 8th in GR86, and now Aaron Myers will be under pressure once more with 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, coming up on 2 laps remaining. Not this time by, but next time by, they will see the white flag. Aaron Myers currently your leader with Lincoln Fox close in tow, only 0.2 of a second behind, using that draft to maximum effect, coming into turn 1. No chance at a move yet for Lincoln Fox as Aaron Myers goes way wide in the corner. And now they're going to be side by side coming towards NASCAR Bend.
Oh, very wide indeed. So let's see if Lincoln's going to try and do something different here. It looks like he was just letting Myers have the line into the corner, and he'll probably try on the final lap, probably at roller coaster potentially, is the only chance the Fox is going to have to take the win from here, because Myers has been fantastic on race pace here. Lincoln, of course, is the more consistent of the two, but Myers does have the fastest MX5 lap by 0.4 of a second, so an extra point will fall in his favor. Of course, there's no championship battle between these two. Myers only making appearances in the last few rounds of this series. Lincoln Fox, though, has completed every single round as far as I can see. Every round that the drivers have been present for anyway. Of course, remember, week 2 of this championship we had to skip because of the DDoS attacks on iRacing after the 4th of July weekend. So it's not ideal for them. But here comes the aggression from Lincoln Fox. Gently does it into roller coaster. Yeah, Lincoln has had solid points finishes at every single round that's been run so far. Meanwhile, here comes... lap. Yep, there's the fastest lap for Andrew Sharp as he goes for the lead. Round the outside, and Brett Gardner gets turned, and oh no! Andrew Sharp! Oh no, you can tell that he's not happy with how that went down. Gardner's going to turn it here, and Andrew Sharp, I don't know if he's going to let Gardner back by at a redress of position. It looks like he's back up to pace, but oh man, you could see the disappointment on Andrew Sharp's features there. He didn't want that to go down like it did.
No, but this is still very tight because Brett Gardner did not lose any extra positions other than the one on Andrew Sharp. So this is still going to come down to the wire. I mean, granted, Sharp just got the fastest lap, but holy cow, drama kicking off here late in the GR86 class.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So so considering the championship permutations we've been discussing as this battle for the MX5 league goes on, we'll get a replay of what happened here. Gardner, he just pushed wide there, just past the apex, and it looked like Sharp was trying to go for an over-under. That's just unfortunate there between those two. Just a full-on coming together there with Gardner potentially going a little deep into the hairpin. This fight's going to keep going between Fox and Myers for the MX5 lead, but if the race were to end right now here on the final lap for the GR86s, actually it is the final lap for the GR86s, Sharp and Gardner will be equal on points. Sharp has pole position and he has fastest lap, so he would get 54 points. Gardner would get 50 points, and that would leave them equal on points. So on count back, it looks like Brett Gardner is your champion, but Andrew Sharp will just pass Graham Wildman before the line to win here. Okay,
Wait,
that
what?
makes things even more complicated. Hang on a minute. 57 points. Okay, I've just heard Andrew Sharp apologizing to Brett over the intercom as Aaron Myers and Lincoln Fox will battle to the line, and it looks like Aaron just took it there by 0.04 of a second. Oh lordy. Okay, we're gonna have to do some calculations here. So
I'm looking back at this, Graham. Sorry, Reese, but I'm looking back at this. I think Graham ran out of gas on the start-finish straight. That's why Andrew was able to get around him.
Okay, so that makes sense then. Right. Pole and fastest lap for Andrew Sharp. That's 2 extra points in hand for him. And with the win, that's 57 points. Brett Gardner will only finish 50 points for 3rd place. And there, yeah, you see, he ran out of gas right before the line. So yeah, unless it comes down to a stewards discussion between the two of them, it looks like Andrew Sharp is your champion by 3 points.
Holy cow. And that turn 1 incident, I don't think Andrew Sharp did anything wrong. From what we can see in the replay, it looked like Brett's car got a little unstable there and came across the nose of Andrew, or into the line of Andrew, and Andrew really had nothing he could have done there.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Drama.
Yeah, absolutely. Sharp, Wildman, and Gardner are your top 3. Jean-Sebastien Bedard, another 4 seconds back, ahead of Ian Brown and Jeremy Rogers, Gwinnett and Bergquist, as well as Ewan Brown, your last finishers on the lead lap. Wyckoff had some problems somewhere along the line and finishes in 10th, and Josiah Douglas unfortunately retiring from the race, but he would have still got the minimum 50% of laps in, I believe. No, he wouldn't have. So it's a confirmed no points day for Josiah Douglas. Myers wins by 400ths over Lincoln Fox in the MX5s, with Bartlett Chase, the other finisher there. Peter Moller made it back out onto the circuit, 9 laps down, and looks like that will not be the minimum 50% required. So well, this is going to be very interesting indeed. We're going into our interview segment now, and the first driver we're going to talk to is Andrew Sharp. That was quite interesting there, Andrew. I can see the disappointment on your features. That's not how you wanted the championship chase to end.
No, I'm watching it back now. I definitely should have left more space. Yeah, just not how I wanted it to end. Kind of terrible way for the night to end. It was a really fun race up to that point. I don't know if that's just a racing incident. I don't know. That was a rough one.
Yeah, might have to go to some stewards' deliberations regarding that. But with that finish, taking the win in the last few meters of the race, that's 57 points to you to Brett's 50, and that means that unless that result does get changed, you would be champion by 3 points. So yeah, it all comes down to the post-race discussions, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's obviously not a fun way for it to end either. So, yeah, I'm sorry to Brett that that's how it ended. If I am at fault for the stewards, totally understand that. So, yeah, just a rough way for things to end. Don't know how to feel. So, bit of a tough one.
Yeah, to say the least. Well, thanks for joining us anyway, Andrew. Congratulations on the result, though it's not the way you wanted it. All up a good season from you.
Yeah, thanks for the broadcast, and have a good rest of your night.
Andrew Sharp and the number 24 there joining us. Second place was Graham Wildman, joined by Mark Kalin here for a chat about potentially those last few meters of the race.
Yeah, Graham, heck of a race, man. What happened there at the end? Did you just have not enough fuel in the car to be able to finish it out that last 100 meters?
Yeah, man, I'm so mad at myself. That is not what you want to be doing there. Just 200 feet to go, started sputtering, and Andrew was able to get around the outside. I'm speechless.
Well, at least it wasn't earlier in the lap to where you had to take a tow. You were able to finish the race out in P2. So not everything was a complete disaster, but still a fantastic race from you, Graham. With this being the final race of the GR86s for the foreseeable future, what was your biggest takeaway of the season?
Honestly, I treated this season more of a just for fun, coming out here having a good time, and I think that's what I achieved here. Got wrecked out a couple times, but we'll look past that. For the most part, had fun racing out here. Definitely got my elbows out in a couple races, and just the half gallon of fuel there, and I wouldn't have had any problems.
Yeah, we definitely enjoyed watching the intensity out of you all season long. You put on a heck of a show, including tonight. So congrats again on a P2. And before we let you go, Graham, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Last week gave a shout out to my mom, so this week I give a shout out to my dad. He's out there watching as well. So, hey Dad, how you doing? Sorry I couldn't bring home the W today.
Well, Dad, he got very close. You'd be very proud. But Graham Wadman, your second place finisher. And next up is going to be our third place finisher, Brett Gardner, and he has caught up with Reese.
He has. Brett, man, what a way for the season to end. Andrew already on record saying that he should have left more space there in turn one. What was your view of that incident?
Yeah, we both went in pretty hot, and I clipped the curb in just the wrong way to where I had to do a little correction. And I don't think Andrew, I don't think he expected me to have to do that. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a shame on how that happens. I know he doesn't race dirty or anything like that, but, I'm just definitely not happy with how it ended.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's been such a good season from you. You have the most wins of anyone at 4, and it's been an incredibly consistent run from you. In the end, unless that incident goes to the stewards and the result gets changed, it looks like Andrew is the champion by 3 points over you, by our calculations at least. So in the end, still second place, and you must be happy with how the majority of the season went down.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely look back on it and be proud of it. I definitely hate the feeling of it all coming down to being the first loser and not the winner of the championship, but that's all right. Well, I mean, sadly, we can't get them next time. This is the last time this series is running, and that's a shame because I think these cars are really fun to race.
Yeah, we've certainly had a lot of fun watching you guys strut your stuff around the world's race circuits in these cars. Well, commiserations, Brett. Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll speak to you more in the future.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Brett Gardner there, third in the GR86s in the end. And we also have our MX5 winner in the box here for a chat with Mark. Aaron Myers is with us.
Yeah, Aaron Myers in the iconic Ricky Bobby-esque livery of the number 62 machine, currently sporting the number 7. But Aaron, congratulations on first place this evening here at VIR. That was a fantastic race between you and Lincoln. What were your thoughts? Was it kind of stressful at the end there with him chasing you down?
Oh, definitely. That was extremely stressful. He was really putting the pressure on those last couple laps. I thought for sure he was going to get the better of me.
Yeah, it looked like came down to a difference of 4/100ths of a second. So that draft meaning everything this evening, especially that drag race down to the start finish line. But fortunately for you, you were able to hold him off by about an entire wheel's length. So, but yeah, I mean, you've got to be proud of that. And does that kind of make you wish you would have been here for more races to be a championship contender this season?
Yeah, most definitely. My primary focus was on GT4s, but man, the MX5s are just so much fun to race. Everybody races them really well. It's I'm a little bummed that I missed out on a full season.
Yeah, we're bummed we didn't have you for the full season because the races that you did show up, you put on quite the show, and were very fast and competitive each race. So still very good to see you here for when you were able to make it. But yeah, man, anyone you want to give a shout out to for your awesome success here tonight?
I mean, huge shout out to Lincoln. He is so fast, so he really upped the ante there. And then just my Valhalla teammates, those guys rock as well.
All right, well, folks, that is your race winner here at VIR, and that would be Aaron Myers in the number 7 MX5. And Reese, that's all we have tonight. We don't have our championship winner, Lincoln Fox, but we do want to give him a great big old shout out and congratulations for winning the MX5 championship here with the Precision Racing League.
Yeah, brilliant drive from Lincoln Fox this season, and he certainly deserves that championship title. It's a shame we won't get a chance to talk to him, but all up, GR86 and MX5. That's going to be the last time this series is run for the time being. And it's also going to be the last time the Super Formula series is run, because after 2 seasons, there's been some changes in the PRL schedule, and Super Formula will no longer be a thing after this season. So that means we have another championship to decide in incredible fashion here in the final round. We are racing at Zandvoort for the final round of the Super Formula series, and man, what a season it has been. What a schedule it has been, Mark. We have run the gamut of fantastic circuits here with Hungaroring and Motegi returning from last season, but some brilliant races at Fuji, at Spa, at Sebring. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, for both of these series, fantastic racing, fantastic schedules, fantastic battling. Just, it's really a shame to see both of these great series have to be put back into the box for the time being. Unfortunately, just wasn't enough interest to keep them going as they are currently. But gosh, man, it's been so much fun calling it up here in the booth for the last 2 seasons with you, Reese, and these guys have put on heck of a shows week in and week out, regardless of the car count.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is how things stand in the Pro Championship. JR Williams in the lead by only 5 points over Pablo Uribe. And Pablo has had some fantastic runs in the last few rounds. Williams, of course, took the win at the previous round at Motegi. And currently, he took second and Uribe won. I've gotten my wires crossed there, as I often do. But yeah, regardless, Uribe's been the one who's been chasing here. He hasn't had as consistent results as JR at rounds 1 and 4, not getting the best points run. And of course, remember at Sebring, both JR and Pablo came together on the final lap in a spectacular crash. Neither driver was really at fault for it, but it just goes to show how dramatic the championship run has been between these two. So basically, what Pablo will be hoping for here is that JR finishes off the podium and he'll be able to take the championship. Williams just needs to keep himself in that top 3, top 4 positions to have a chance. That's how things are in the pro standings at the moment, with Vargas and Keane not separated by much either. In the AM standings, meanwhile, this is super close. Look at that. Christian Jasper and Blake Ziti only separated by a single point, and Frankie Brzezowski, in what he says is only his first full season of league racing, third in the championship, only 7 points behind. So I think if Brzezowski can have a good race here and Jasper and Ziti both run into issues, he could take the AM championship. You never know. Regardless, we've got some very intense running to go on here, Mark.
Yeah, two classes, same cars, very tight championships in both, less than 5 points separating each one. It's gonna be intense, to say the least. Just like the GR86-MX5 race earlier this evening, just a few moments ago, finished up with some major drama on the final lap. Well, it's not too far out of the question, Reese, to say the same could happen here this evening with JR Williams and Pablo Valenzuela Uribe being the top 2 cars all season long and typically running very close together each and every week.
Indeed. We'll go on board here with JR Williams at Zandvoort through the Hugenholzbocht. This corner reprofiled for Zandvoort's Formula 1 return a couple of years ago, and then the beautiful run through this historic section of racetrack up to Skyvlok, this right-hander here that goes through a dip so fast in these downforce cars, then into the newer part of the circuit that was built in the 1990s. Fantastic sequence as well. It's so technical. You bring the speed down. You've got to be so careful to get the power out nicely. for the run down to Hans Ernst Bocht as well. The chicane at the end of this run here for JR Williams. Entry was widened for Formula One's return, and you're in and out of that corner like nothing. And then through Kumo, and then into Ari Luyendijk Bocht, the final corner, banked. You want to run high on the run out to another hot lap for the best run out of the corner, and then to the straight, and a lap at Zandvoort is over just like that in about 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Yeah, currently the top two are separated by just 0.2 of a second, with Blake Ziti, your first AM driver, in third, only 0.3 off of the top time. And Reese, it always makes me nervous that this onboard view, anytime you see grass protruding into the track and these guys driving right over top of it, it always makes me nervous that these guys are just going to instantly loop it around anytime I see them driving, like right there.
Yeah, exactly. You got to try and extend the corner entries as much as possible. So many of the corners around this track ridiculously fast, and these cars will obviously be running their highest downforce settings. These things are high-level open wheelers, and so it all depends on the grip that the wings provide through the fast corners here. And if you can keep the speed up through the slower corners like this one, then you'll be able to get a good time on the board. JR then through the final couple of corners. It's interesting to note that he's not going too tight through Audi Luyendijk there, with only 40 seconds remaining in qualifying, and that's a 1:15.4. It's still not quite close enough to shuffle Pablo Uribe off pole position. Currently a 1:14.7 is Pablo's fastest time. This is Pablo's teammate Manuel Vargas at Final Lap Sim Racing Team, and a 1:15.3 for Vargas. That's only 0.08 of a second off his fastest lap. So drivers are struggling here late on in the session with a track that is very foggy indeed. That North Sea fog has fallen over the resort town of Zandvoort in the Netherlands, and the track is only 21 degrees Celsius in temperature. It'll be in the 60s in Fahrenheit, I believe. So yeah, rather cold. Oh, all right. Nice. Anyway,
very cool track conditions right now.
Yeah, indeed. We shall see then what Vargas can do as the checkered flag is flown in qualifying. Pablo's off track now, and he's not going to be trying to improve on his provisional pole time in the pro class. ZT still holding on to the AM pole position over Jeff Groff, and Vargas will try to get a bit further up the field here, but oh no, he's caught too much of the grass there on the exit of Hans Ernst. And, well, that's going to be the end of his qualifying run. So now it all comes down to the last few cars out here. Looks like that's Brzezowski we're looking at there, currently 7th overall, and evidently struggling with the rear end a little bit. I don't think this lap is going to be faster, and oh, definitely not now. Really struggling over those sawtooth curbs on the exits of these corners. So he'll make his way through Ari Luyendijk, try and run the best line possible through the flat-out final corner, and then practice a pit entry, because you never know. They might have to do that through the race if they suffer damage. But other than that, there aren't going to be pit stops. Nothing scheduled for tyres. The tyres will last the whole race, and you can't refuel Super Formula cars in the race, so what they start with is what they're going to have to deal with for the duration of this race. So with qualifying pretty much run and done, we'll be going through the grid in just a few moments time, and what a grid it is going to be. We have 18 cars in the server at the moment, 2 of them not setting times in qualifying, but regardless, the times are very close all throughout this field, and I'm just gearing up here for a fantastic end to the Super Formula season. Hopefully, everyone's going to be able to make it through the first lap cleanly, and we can have a good battle in both of our classes for the championship title. Pablo Uribe and JR Williams, first and second on the grid. Those are your championship protagonists in Pro. Remember, Williams is 5 points ahead of Valenzuela Uribe in the standings. ZT takes the AM class pole with Jeff Groff alongside him. Then it's Vargas and Gabriel Hopper on the third row. Frankie Brzezowski, third place in the AM championship, will start 7th alongside Christian Jasper, with Marco Janssen and Cristobal Valenzuela on the 5th row. Remember, Jasper is in the AM class championship lead by a single point over ZT. Pancari and Ellis are your 6th row. Hugo Galaz and John Krause are 13th and 14th. We have Neil Alexander and Barry Cochran on the 8th row. Daniel Krenifus and Victor Couto are your last row of the grid, and neither of those drivers set a time in qualifying. So we get things going here, waiting for the grid timer to fall down. Of course, Super Formula, if you are unfamiliar with it, the overtake button is a massive factor. The drivers get 200 seconds worth of extra power to use during the race, and they can use it anytime they like for as long as they like, but they need to wait 120 seconds in between applications. So with the straights at this circuit being very short, it's going to be tight. Speaking of tight, how about the start? Revs rise and we are away. A puff of smoke there from Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, and JR Williams and Uribe will bang wheels on the way into turn 1. Williams with the better start. He has the inside, and Uribe is going to fall to second, and the battle is going to be even harder for him now as he tries to take the Pro Class Championship. Into Hugenholtz for the first time. Jeff Groff has taken the AM lead from Blake ZT. Cold tires, got to be careful on the exits of these corners, and now we're through the fast bits. Who's going to get the run into Skyblock? Uribe trying his best to maintain the downforce there. You saw him peeking out from behind JR Williams just to get a bit more air flowing over the wings.
Yeah, the dirty air really going to make or break your lap here when they're all bunched up like this. So far, everyone keeping it clean. I haven't seen any on-track incidents yet. So we do have some side-by-side battling in the back as we currently are watching with Brett Pancari.
And it looks like that's Cristobal Valenzuela ahead of him.
It is, yes, sir. And but yeah, right now everyone's just trying to keep it clean and tidy. Ooh, a little bit close to the gearbox.
Oh, that was Vargas. Vargas, I think, going for a spin and then a technical issue, maybe.
Oh no.
Oh no.
He's already made it back to the pit road. Vargas has not had a good few last weeks of this season.
No, certainly not. Oh, that's a lock up there from Christian Jasper, and Blake ZT will move ahead. Remember, Jasper leading the AM Class Championship coming into this final round, and he was ahead of ZT, would have taken the championship, but he's fallen all the way back to 10th overall now.
That is going to be a tall task for him to come back from that and recover back to a championship winning position. He's going to be banking on a mistake from Blake ZT as we get a replay here. Emmanuel Vargas just gets on the gas a little too hard on the curbs and then torpedoes himself into the left side tire barrier as he disappears from the session, and a spin.
Oh, Brzezowski!
In the back of the field from Brzezowski. Oh my goodness.
No. Yeah, the chaos is already starting to erupt. The drivers are thinking, oh, the tires are warmed up, I can push. No, you can't. Not yet. It's only lap 2 of 36. We'll get a view of what happened to Brzezowski there, and it just looks like the rear let go. That's a place you don't usually see that happen.
Yeah, I would have thought that the aerodynamics would have had the car planted firmly there, but apparently I would be wrong. And unfortunate for Brzezowski, he's only 8 points out of the AM Championship lead. So he is down in 15th, the last car running currently. And that's just going to make everything that much harder for Brzezowski to have a shot at the championship this evening. Meanwhile, back up front, we got JR Williams being closely followed by Pablo Uribe, only 0.3 of a second off of his gearbox. And quick little points update for the championship between these two. It is a 4-point gap from the green flag since Uribe got the...
Oh, no! There we go! Oh, no! Williams spins. Oh, and Uribe gets collected! Oh, no! Oh, dear. Well, that has just introduced a ton more drama. Pablo has lost his right rear wheel. He's out of the championship. JR Williams, if he can get to the finish here, he has to get some repairs done, but as long as he can finish, it looks like he's the champion.
Oh my goodness, as we have seen so many times this season from these two drivers in particular, coming together at some point in the race because they are just so competitive and so close on time. JR Williams super slow. He's going to be heading straight to pit road there to get his front wing fixed. And I doubt we see Pablo come back onto the track.
He's already disconnected from the server. He's thrown up the white flag and said, no, it's over. That's heartbreaking. I mean, that incident, man, like, we'll go through it in a second. There's still quite a bit of racing to go on, and it looks like all of our pro class cars either down in the order or out of the race. So it is a battle of the AMs for the overall race win, for the championship lead, for almost all the points paying positions. Currently Jeff Groff leading the way, ahead of Blake Ziti and Gabriel Hopper. This is the battle between Jansen, Valenzuela, and Jasper. So we'll see here. Uribe comes in aggressively, tips JR around, and then, man, that's a shame. I mean, obviously, Uribe was slowing down there because, like, he didn't want the position to define the championship there, so he slowed down to try and get Williams going again. But then Williams spun further, and he had to stop in the middle of the track. And then all the drivers come through, and they don't know what's going on. So unfortunately, Uribe collected from behind, and his rear suspension was broken beyond repair.
Yeah, unfortunately, the drivers, they would know that there's an incident ahead, but they have no idea where at on track, whether it be on or off the track. And it's a blind corner, to say the least, so that's just double jeopardy. But yeah, I mean, it was an unfortunate lunge by Pablo, but he did try to do the sportsman-like thing after the fact to let JR collect himself. Unfortunately, there was just not enough time for that to happen. Oh, man, just really unfortunate, but it looks like JR Williams will be your championship winner, assuming he, well, I guess he doesn't even have to finish the race now technically, but yeah. He will be your championship leader after the conclusion of this race, or winner. Oh my gosh, drama everywhere we look tonight.
Yeah, the worst thing for Uribe as well was, you know, I'm sure that if he'd been able to continue on, he would have let JR go to redress the position. This is the onboard here, so Uribe comes in and just tips him around, and Williams almost recovers it, but the wheels spin up and he stops. And so Pablo has nowhere to go. His only option would have been to reverse. Like, that's just such a terrible position for Pablo to have put himself in there with Williams spinning across the front of him. His only option was to T-bone. You'll see it on board here. This would have been what Pablo was looking at the time. He goes in aggressively, there's the tap, and then Williams spins, and you see that Pablo was trying to go around him, but he couldn't.
Yeah, there was nowhere for Pablo to go at that point, but it's just a silly lunge, in my opinion, from Pablo.
I mean, he was already
in the race.
Yeah, he was already aggressive going into the corners. You know, I could see it before the incident happened. He was making up so much time on Williams coming into those corners, and it almost seemed if I can get my words out, an inevitability that would happen. But yeah, again, that's not how you want a championship to end. So we've already seen drama in the GR86 championship earlier on in the night, and in the Pro Class and Super Formula, the same thing has happened. The leaders come together, and ultimately everyone's left feeling deflated.
Yeah, ultimately. Meanwhile, we do have another championship to concern ourselves with this evening. We do have the battle between Jasper and Ziti for the AM Class Championship. Again, the difference only being at the start of the race 1 point. However, currently with Blake Ziti in second place and Christian Jasper in fifth, almost 7.5 seconds behind Blake Ziti, that is going to be a tall order for Jasper to be able to catch up. He is still going to be counting on a mistake from Blake Ziti.
Yeah, he certainly is. Jasper will now try to find his way past Andrew Ellis as this battle continues on between Cristobal Valenzuela, Brett Pancari, and Hugo Galaz. Hugo catching up to Brett there, and just a little bit, but doesn't quite nail the exit. So Pancari is going to stay ahead for the time being. And I mean, Hugo Luis, our broadcast producer here on Race Spot, saying it's the first time in a series that he sees AMs destroying pros. And yeah, it's a very good point to make. As Jeff Groff gets the fastest lap, he is on the overtake button. No, that's his teammate Jasper getting up into fourth, passing Andrew Ellis. That's going to be an extra couple of points in hand for him, but Ziti is still a very long way ahead. But Jeff Groff in the lead, getting the fastest lap. And that'll be an extra point in Groff's favor. Yeah, the AM class, I mean, it's organized by iRating, I believe, the Pro and Am categories here. But as we've seen, iRating is not a true indicator of your ultimate pace in these cars.
It really isn't. And it's very similar in our NASCAR series that I manage, to where, you know, even if you're classified a certain way in the iRating, we have moved you up to what we consider the pro level, even if your iRating doesn't meet that, but we know how you drive and what your standards and pace are. So yeah, iRating is not everything.
No, certainly not. Well, I saw Brzezowski making his way past Cochran there for 12th spot. That'll be an extra little boon there for Mr. Brzezowski, but he'll still be a distant third in the championship, if not lower, considering how far down he is. But look at the fight back here from Andrew Ellis as he tries to catch up to Christian Jasper. Marco Jansen catching up to him, and now I guess we just wait for the remaining 27 laps of this race, see if anyone can keep it together to the line. Ziti is in the hot seat here for the AM Class Championship. All he's got to do is stay in second. I get the feeling it's going to be a similar situation to what we saw from Brett Gardner and Andrew Sharp earlier in the GR86s. You're in that position, okay, you're safe in the championship. Just keep it going to the end. That's what Blake Ziti will be thinking.
Yeah, hopefully that is what he is thinking. However, from a driver's perspective, that is a lot easier said than done. I have been in positions similar to that in the past, and even though you know you're safe for the championship, you still want to try and run hard and chase down that driver for the win, just for that cherry on top. So it's difficult to stay disciplined enough as we ride along board with Brett Pancari and see him there with his wheels shaking very hard, even down the front stretch. Holy cow, that's a lot of shaking.
He does tend to run that Thrustmaster T818 very hard. Pancari has made quite a few appearances on Zoom this season, and it's always entertaining to watch him go around here. See how he looks into the corners here. That's Zandvoort is one of the tracks where you really have to do that. There's so many corners that are approaching 180 degrees or more in change of direction, so you need to be able to see ahead of you.
Yeah, Brett Pancari is a very fun competitor here in the PRL, runs many different series, from here in Super Formula to the GT3s to even our NASCAR series. He runs many series here. He's a very strong supporter of the PRL, and we love having him here as well. And he's very fun to watch and battle with on track.
Yeah, certainly is. Well, we'll see how successful he is in his pursuit of Cristobal Valenzuela here. The battle between them falling for the moment in Pancari's favor. He was faster on the last lap, but Cristobal has the faster ultimate lap of the two, only by 0.03 of a second. So it's definitely a tight fight between these two for 7th and 8th. it looks like Ellis has been caught by Marco Jansen as well for the positions ahead for the last position in the top 5. Jasper passed Ellis earlier and has absolutely skipped away. The gap between them is now 3.5 seconds. So Ellis has got a big fight on his hands here to keep his top 5 position as Pancari is in the slipstream through these fast corners up the back end of the circuit and almost in a position where he can pass Cristobal Valenzuela, but it's so difficult to pass around this track, as we've seen in the races since Formula One returned to this racetrack in 2021. It's a fast track as Zandvoort, but the corners come thick and fast, so you don't have much time to set up a move.
No, you really don't. It's not. It is a fun track to drive, but it is not a fun track to pass on. It is very, very difficult. And in my own personal opinion here, Reese, it's just not really designed for passing.
Yeah, Zandvoort, of course.
Really wide there.
Oh man, yeah, very wide, but he'll gear up that run through Ari Luyendijk, and he is on overtake here, trying to catch up to Cristobal Valenzuela, who goes defensive into turn 1 at Tarzan. This is the only real passing opportunity on the track, and Pancari has made it work around the outside.
What a move from Pancari to get the run down the front straight and into turn 1. A little bit of a lockup into that hairpin. It is a fascinating track, though, for real, Zandvoort. It's got NASCAR-style banked turns, and then it's got elevation change. It's just a really gnarly track.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Zandvoort was opened in the late 1940s, and the only part remaining of the original circuit is the start-finish straight, the run through Tarzan up to Skyblock, the super quick right-hander that brings us into the middle sector of the circuit. The rest of the track, well, this section dates from the late 1980s, and then the turns after Skyblock, the double hairpin section, as it were, introduced in the late 1990s. So this track has had a long and storied history, as Marco Jansen will pass Andrew Ellis, or attempt to, at Tarzan, and almost banging wheels on the way out of the corner. Jansen's going to have to wait for another opportunity here. Oh, he's going to try and make one at Hugenholtz, but he's not able to do it. Hugenholtz is an interesting corner as well. It was reprofiled for Formula One's return, and it's got progressive banking. It's got more banking on the outside line than the inside, so the fastest line through the corner is actually staying to the right.
Yeah, the higher up on the banking, the faster you can carry your speed through that corner. So it's definitely the optimal line, much like... Never mind. I lost my train of thought there. I'm sorry, Reese.
There's quite a few NASCAR ovals that have that kind of progressive banking. I think Kentucky, and many others as well.
Yeah, my home track of Kentucky. Yeah, it did have that progressive banking. So at least in one corner it did. One corner you'd run up a little higher, the other corner you'd run down at the bottom. So it was a very fun track to race on, but unfortunately, it is not being currently used in the NASCAR circuit.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled here on the battle for Jansen, because Pancari has had an excellent run of laps here. As further down, Frankie Brzezowski making the move on John Krause. And Krause's going to try and force the issue here, but Brzezowski will be ahead coming into Hugenholtz, as Williams is just setting fastest lap after fastest lap. I mean, that's all he can really do at this point. He has no pressure for the championship, so he just needs to finish and try and get that extra point where he can. But John Krause here is obviously being just passed there by Brzezowski, who gets into the top 10 again. Good recovery so far from Frankie, and John will try his best to stay in touch.
Yeah, up 5 spots since Frankie had his little self-spin. So that's a great job from him. Of course, it's helped when the leaders have wrecked. But nonetheless, a position gain is a position gain, no matter how you come by it. Meanwhile, up at the front, Blake Ziti is slowly running down Jeff Groff for the race lead. He is now down to under 2 seconds, about 1 3/4 of a second behind Jeff. So he's not taking it too easy here, Reese. He is definitely pushing a little bit, which could open the door for a mistake later in this race.
Yeah, certainly could be the case. Yeah, Ziti a long way ahead, but we keep our eyes on the other cars in the field here. Coming through the opening corners, it's JR Williams trying his best to gain further positions here. We saw him passing Neil Alexander, and now it'll be, oh, hello, Pancari's just lost 7th place. He's moved back a few positions. He's back behind Valenzuela and Galaz now. Galaz running wide there, obviously not wanting to keep that position for too long, as Pancari's going to try around the outside, but he's off the racing line. No grip out there. So what on earth happened to Brett Pancari? Must have been a pretty big mistake for him to lose 2 spots.
Yeah, going back, here's a replay of it. Out of the, oh, he just gets off track a little bit, has to correct. Wow, what a recovery. Very lucky not to hit any walls there.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, he has hit the wall. It was only a very slight tap, but he managed to keep it out just enough. Pancari will try his best to get those positions back, but yeah, it's turning out to be, as it almost always is in PRL Super Formula, a matter of survival.
Yeah, it really is, and it doesn't take a lot when you're at a high-speed track like this that's constantly near top speeds a lot of the race. It doesn't take a lot to make a mistake, as we just saw from Brett Pancari.
Yeah, well, Pancari's going to have to stay behind Galaz for another lap or so at least before he can gear up another move, and he's picked up some damage to the left side of his front wing at some point, so already compromised on a track where downforce is paramount. If you have an aerodynamic problem, you are not going to be going as fast as you like around here, and for the time being, it looks like Galaz has managed to avoid that.
Yeah, the smallest amount of damage can have the biggest amount of impacts around a high-speed circuit such as this, especially in the high-speed corners. That's where you're going to feel it the most. It's just a lack of grip through the corners, which means you'll either have to back up your corner a little bit extra or wait a little longer to get on the throttle. Depends on how that damage affects your car.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Another fastest lap from JR Williams.
Yep, JR's just ticking away the laps here, driving as fast as he possibly can, and he'll be looking for a move on Krauser here, but there's no passing at hand coming into Skyvlak here. This corner is brilliant to drive through, but when you're close behind someone, it can be frustrating because the dirty air really gets in your way.
Yeah, it really does, and JR just not really trying to force the issue here, doesn't really have a need to, looks for an over-under there on Krauser and gets it done. Well done from JR Williams there. He's gonna have the position into the next corner here. Krauser wisely backing out of it, knowing that JR is just that much faster.
Yeah, JR is, well, it'll be interesting to see how far up he can make it. He's nailing every single corner at the moment, with the race now completing half distance. And across the line he will come. It won't be a fastest lap this time around, but it will still be a 1:16.75, which is only a tenth off his best lap so far. Well, keep our eyes on the battle here between Andrew Ellis and Marco Jansen. Marco has been having a couple of issues in the last few laps, and obviously was a bit higher than he was. Still up 3 places, but Andrew Ellis here is the driver with the most positions gained in the whole field at 7 spots. He's having a very good race.
He is indeed. 7 spots is not an easy task in a strong competitive field such as this here in the Super Formula Series of the Precision Racing League. I don't know why I said it like that, but I did. And but yeah, Marco Jensen, just slight mistakes costing him a small amount of time here and there, but it's slowly backing him up into the grips of Cristobal Valenzuela, who is starting to run him down now.
Yeah, Andrew Ellis running half a second faster than Janssen on that last lap, and Cristobal made up nearly 0.6 of a second on Janssen there. They remain together, and this battle will continue for quite some time. It's all going to come down to, I think, who's going to have the most overtake available. Remember, we have to look out for those lights above the drivers' heads to turn red. That'll be the signal that they have less than 20 seconds worth of extra power remaining. And I don't think many drivers are approaching that at the moment. There's just not that many opportunities to use that extra power around here. I suppose the only real spot you can use it is coming out of Kumho, the second last corner, running all the way through Ari Luyendijk down to Tarzan to start the next lap. That's where the extra power will be used the most.
Yeah, nobody getting close to depleting their push to pass at the moment. Andrew Ellis currently on push to pass, trying to increase the gap from behind to Marco Jansen. And he is now off the push to pass. Nobody really using a whole lot at a time. Maybe just like 6 or 7 seconds here or there.
Yeah, just trying to save it up for the final laps of the race. That's how it always goes, I suppose. When you're in a battle like this, you use a little bit here and there just to stay in touch or to try and make up the gap after a mistake. And then you save as much as you can for the run through the final laps. It's an interesting sequence to behold when the drivers are trying to manage that overtake button.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we just don't have that many close battles. We have battles, but they're not like right on top of each other to where they would need to use it. I thought Marco was going to go for a little ride through the dirt there.
Ooh. He's pushing hard into there, isn't he? I've noticed really when we've been following him, he's been dipping a couple of wheels into the gravel on the inside there. Williams, meanwhile, caught up to Brzezowski and might stand a chance of getting past here. Yep, overtake button on, coming through Ari Luyendijk. He's going to line it up into Tarzan. And Brzezowski is not going to fight this. Here comes JR Williams to get into the top 10 after the unfortunate incident between himself and Pablo Valenzuela Uribe on the second lap of the race. So, good recovery from JR. And he really doesn't need to do any more than this. He's the only pro car left running in the entire field. And, just needs to grab a few points and secure that championship over Pablo. And now that we're past half race distance, it doesn't matter if JR even finishes. He'll still get the minimum required distance for points and will be secured. In fact, he wouldn't have even needed to do that. He was 5 points ahead of Pablo going into the final round, and he'll be the champion regardless.
Yep. So congratulations to JR Williams on Season 3 of Super Formula here in the PRL Championship. Got that locked away for him. Now we just need to settle the score for the AM class between Blake Ziti, Christian Jasper, and Frankie Brzezowski.
Yep, here we go then. Let's see what Cristobal Valenzuela can do here to get past Marco Jansen, who's dropped off from Andrew Ellis in the last few laps. JR Williams has just made his way past Brett Pancari as well, up into 9th place now, and Pancari will try and follow JR around here. Remember, Brett still has potential for maybe a top 7 if he can play his cards right. Remember that he was ahead of Cristobal and Hugo before he had his unfortunate slide out of Hugenholtz. Speaking of Jansen and Valenzuela, well, Cristobal has been running 0.3 faster than him on the previous lap. And, oh, this is big. Oh, this is very big. Gabriel Hopper's had a crash.
Oh, no.
Oh dear, that promotes Christian Jasper into third place overall. And, well, it's 7 seconds between himself and Blake Ziti. It's probably more around, about 7.3 seconds. But Jasper could still take the AM Class Championship from here if he finishes ahead of Ziti, as Hopper collected the grass out of Hans Ernst. And, well, the car was destroyed. No point in even trying to get it back to the pits from there.
No, just go ahead and take that car straight to the junkyard. It is the end of that car's life cycle, as JR with yet another fastest lap down to the 15.6s now for JR Williams. So, but yeah, Christian Jasper right there with Blake Ziti now, well, 8 seconds behind, but Blake Ziti right there with Jeff Groff now down to under a second, and he is right there.
Ooh. Hugo Galaz trying to fight JR Williams as he went around there. JR will get the position in the end, but that was a little bit more difficult than he would have liked. But yeah, you're right. Jeff Groff and Blake Ziti are more together now than they ever were. The gap is under a second between them. It looked like they were both using their overtake button down the start-finish straight. Ziti drawing up the pace now that he sees that Jasper has made his way into third spot. So this is going to be a very interesting battle for the win if Ziti can keep this up.
Yeah, the difference points paying between second and third place is 2 points. So you would get that
would put Ziti in the championship win by 1 point if they finish where they are.
Correct, yeah. Sorry, lost my focus there.
All good. And likewise, if Jasper finishes ahead of Ziti, then that will be the championship secured. So the pressure is on for Blake Ziti. He wants that win. He wants those extra couple of points after passing Jeff Groff. But, you know, he can't afford to push too hard. He's got a lot of pressure on him at the moment.
Yes, he does. And Blake just lost about 0.4 of a second behind Jeff Groff with a lockup into the chicane. But no harm done, because Christian Jasper is still 7 seconds behind him. But this fight for 5th place overall, it's where all the action's at right now between Ellis and Jansen and Valenzuela.
Yeah, Cristobal catching up to Jansen again, and it looks like Marco didn't have the best of exits from Hans Ernst there. Into Kumo they come, and we'll see if there's any use of push to pass here, but the exit is on for Cristobal, and he's going to get the move done here. He's on the extra power, so is Jansen, but I don't think it's quite enough to respond properly. Way deeper into Tarzan there is Marco, and they make contact. Marco Jansen goes flying into the gravel trap, and the battle is over between them. Is the car bogged? Has there been damage to the rear suspension? There has. The right rear is gone.
Oh my goodness, and we'll get a replay of that here shortly, folks, but that unfortunately was a wide margin of ghost contact. You see it here coming down the start-finish straight. There is a large gap between the two. And
oh yeah,
just magical things happening here at Zandvoort. Very unfortunate for Marco Jansen being on the receiving end of that magic.
Yeah, Marco, that's got a sting for him. He will not make it to the finish. We have 11 cars left running in the race now, and Neil Alexander is the last of them. And he's got a long way to make up to John Krauser. But here comes JR Williams to try and get into the top five. What a run it has been from JR.
I thought that was going to be a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there.
Yeah, I thought so too, but Williams on the power gets it done into Tarzan, and he's now up into 5th place. And that's spread out the battle somewhat, with now Andrew Ellis with a good bit of time in hand over Cristobal for 4th place. It'll probably be 5th by the time JR gets around him, and that's almost a guarantee at this point. We still have 10 laps remaining in the race. So There's plenty of time there for JR to get into the top 4. Top 3 will be further out of his reach. It's 22 seconds that Andrew Ellis has to Christian Jasper at the moment, and even JR won't be able to make up that time.
Yeah, JR is quick, but he ain't that quick. He would need a mistake from the top 3 for him to be able to catch up to any of those guys. But yeah, currently the fight is on for P4. All over the gearbox of Ellis, almost a nose into the gearbox. That was very tight from J.R. Williams. I'm surprised he's kind of forcing the issue there a little bit.
Well, regardless, it's going to be an easy pass. He'll dip to the inside, and he'll try his best to outbrake Andrew Ellis into Tarzan. How hard will Ellis defend this? Looks like Williams is actually going to have to wait another couple of corners for that move.
Yeah, Ellis playing defense superbly right here.
Yeah, so that makes things a little more difficult for J.R. Williams. He'll have to stay behind for a lap, but again, all he has to do is line up the exit out of the second last corner, and he will have the move into Tarzan. He's just looks so much more confident on the power than any of these other cars he's been racing over the course of this event. Might there even be a move at Hans Ernst? We don't know. JR's certainly gotten it done before with an over-under. Can he get it done here? Yeah, actually, it looks like a very nice power application there, but Ellis will remain defensive into the chicane. JR's going to try around the outside here, and there's just enough space for him to slip up the inside at the left-hander and get into 4th.
Wow, that was a very good move from J.R. Williams to get it done in the chicane. Very good job from both drivers not to create contact with each other and leave spacing. Both drivers now on the push to pass, trying to get that slipstream in full effect for Andrew Ellis, but he is not going to have enough power to get it done into turn. Almost gets into the back of J.R. Williams there. Holy cow. And that's going to open up the door for Cristobal Valenzuela.
Yeah, compromised exit there for Ellis, and Cristobal will try his best to find a way through, but as we've seen, it doesn't come easy unless you're J.R. Williams. Well then.
So right now, the fight on for P5 between Valenzuela and Ellis. That is our closest fight on track at the moment. The battle for the lead is kind of hovering around 1 second. If it gets any closer, we'll bring you to it. But right now, we got to stay here for the battle for P5 between Ellis and Cristobal.
Yes, well, let's see how much ground Cristobal makes up into Hans Ernst. He'll have the overtake primed, but so will Ellis. I think if Cristobal gets on the extra power, there will be a response from Andrew, and there's no sign of the lights blinking at the moment, but we will see. Across the line, J.R. Williams once again fastest lap of the race, down to a 15.4 now, and it doesn't look like anyone's going to be able to match that at this stage. The fastest car on track apart from JR is actually Blake Zeedy in second, and running 0.5 of a second slower per lap, and the lead battle is still on. As is the battle for 7th between Galaz and Brzezowski. Frankie running a little bit slower on the last lap, but it looks like Galaz might have made a mistake, and they will be coming together very shortly if that pattern continues. But Blake Zeedy is starting to round up Jeff Groff for the champion for the race win. Sorry, the gap is now under 0.5 seconds. Looks like Groff is having some trouble with applying the power here. He went for a little bit of a slide on the exit of Tarzan, and Zeedy stands a chance of taking the AM Championship in style here. It's still in excess of 6 seconds between himself and Christian Jasper, so no pressure from behind for Blake Zeedy. If he can get this win, then that'll truly secure the AM Class Championship for him.
Yeah, and both your top 2 drivers very even on remaining push-to-pass time. Jeff Groff just a little bit wide out of that final corner there. Blake Zeedy holding a tighter line through the next one. Just making sure that Jeff knows he's there, applying the appropriate amount of pressure, to make Jeff start questioning his actions.
Yep, all about the power application out of the slow Hansens chicane, then carry the speed through Kumo, and then through Ari Luyendijk. No push to pass for Blake Ziti at the moment with 5 laps to go in this race, but he's staying in the slipstream of Jeff Groff to try and keep himself in the fight here. This has been such an interesting battle between these two. Ziti has been running so well. Remember, he qualified ahead of Groff, but Jeff was able to take advantage of the goings-on early in the race to elevate himself into the lead. Jeff has, I believe, already taken 1 win this season, and that was back at Sebring after JR and Pablo came together on the final lap. So the Go Squadra team has been certainly successful this season. Remember, Christian Jasper took the AM-Class win at Mugello a couple rounds ago, so there's a lot of pace in those teal and white machines at the front of the field.
Yeah, it certainly is not often that we see an amateur driver take overall victory, but it is always extra pleasing when it does manage to happen. Blake Ziti still hovering right around that 5 to 6/10 of a second gap behind Jeff Groff. Both drivers currently on the push to pass down the start-finish straight. Blake trying to zigzag along with Jeff to stay in the draft. Going to be hard into turn 1. Just seems like these drivers are very consistent and very equal on their current pace at the moment. Neither one of them willing to give an inch to the other.
Yeah, well, the lap pace between them, there was only 0.02 of a second difference. Ziti seems, you know, he's done a good job catching up, but it's those last few tenths that he's having a bit of trouble going for, as Williams brings the fastest lap down to a 15.2. Goodness gracious.
Paul in the mail is J.R. Williams, as they say.
Yeah, maybe he should apply for a job with UPS. In any case, we will see if Ziti is able to make up this time here in the last 3 laps of the race. Both of them have their overtake button primed, but it looks like Groff is on recharge at the moment, and Ziti will also be on recharge. So forget what I just said. Not primed for the time being. They'll be waiting until the last lap or so to use up the rest of their overtake button. It's still on between Ellis and Valenzuela here. J.R. Williams has left them behind, and now they're fighting over the scraps here for the last position in the top 5. Frankie Brzezowski has made up some excellent time here. Remember, he had his spin earlier. Well, now he's looking at a potential top 7 here if he can get his way past Hugo Galaz. And if Frankie can do that, then it'll be a zero-sum game. He will be back in the position he started in. And, oh my God, JR, 1:15.1. Slow down. You've got the fastest lap. You've got the championship. Just bring it home.
He has no need to at this point. It's already in the bag for him.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Why not go for fastest? Just go faster and faster. See what you can do.
Might as well see what the ultimate pace is. So this battle for 5th now between 4 cars, and if something happens, Frankie Brzezowski will profit. For the time being, Andrew Ellis has the edge. Cristobal was able to bring the gap to within a second briefly, but not able to make further advancements from there. And it looks like Brzezowski's hit a bit of a metaphorical wall as well. Just not able to make up the time on Hugo. We're at the point now where the tyres are going to start falling off a bit. Right at the end of the race. Who's looked after their tyres is the big question. And whether or not anyone is marginal on fuel is another matter indeed.
Yeah, like we saw in the race earlier with the GR86s, our race leader ran out of gas about 100 meters short of the start finish line, ended up handing the win to our eventual championship winner, Andrew Sharp. Could we see that here tonight with Jeff Groff and Blake Ziti? Blake Ziti currently our championship leader, not fighting Jeff for the championship, but definitely fighting for the race win. So it's always a concern when you have a race that does not require a pit stop, and you have to be very confident on how much fuel you put in the car.
Indeed you do. Well, it looks like this race will potentially be going time certain. No, actually, no. Forget what I said. My timing page was showing just one lap remaining, but the drivers definitely made it across in time to get the last 2 laps on the board. And Blake Ziti is still chasing Jeff Groff for the race win here. Ziti has enough of an edge over Jasper that he doesn't have to worry about the pressure from behind, and will have enough points in hand to take the AM class title for the final season of PRL Super Formula.
And they're coming up on a lap car, Reese. Could play a factor into Jeff Groff getting around him. I'm not quite sure who that is currently. It is Neil Alexander.
Yep, Neil, the last car running at the moment, in 11th spot, and a long way behind John Krauser, so not going to be any chance of getting a top 10 from here. But the white flag comes out and Ziti is starting to draw on the power. He used the overtake button to get an extra couple of tenths, and he dives into Tarzan there just to make up a few more tenths. The gap at 4 tenths of a second coming into Hugenholtz. Groff will be absorbing this pressure like a sponge. They try their best to straighten out the exit, and for the time being it looks like Groff has the better run out of the corner. So now Ziti's going to have to try and find something more here to make his way past, maybe relying on a mistake from Groff. This is going to be an incredible battle for victory between these two, but Ziti has to be careful not to hit the edges of the track too much. Remember, he still has to think about the championship. Jasper is the next position down, and if Ziti has a crash here in the last half a lap, that will be Christian Jasper's AM championship. And he's drawing ever closer to Groff. The gap now under 4 tenths of a second as they come up on Neil Alexander. But it looks like that's going to be it. On recharge for Blake Ziti, he's not going to be able to use the extra power. Jeff Groff will get on the extra power, coming through Ari Luyendijk-Bocht, and across the line he will come to win the race. Final PRL Super Formula race winner, and Blake Ziti, with 2nd place overall, is your AM Class Championship winner.
Yeah, congratulations to Jeff Groff on the race victory. That was a heck of a race from Jeff. A really strong performance from Blake Ziti as well, trying to chase Jeff down for the win. But what a clean race! Exactly what Blake needed to be able to hang on and hold off overtake Christian Jasper for the AM Class Championship. What a show.
And what a show from JR Williams, taking the fastest lap again, getting into the 1:14 on race pace to secure the Pro Class title with a magnificent recovery back up to 4th place. Christian Jasper and Jeff Groff run together. The Ghost Squadra teammates. What a brilliant drive from the both of them, bookending the podium. Jasper will have lost the AM Class title to Blake Ziti, but he should still be very happy with his performances this season. That's going to be your results then. Groff, Ziti, and Jasper. The podium, all AMs. JR Williams able to make it back up to 4th place. He is your Pro Class champion. Andrew Ellis and Cristobal Valenzuela round out the top 6. Hugo Galaz another 2nd behind, with Frankie Brzezowski another 2nd behind Galaz there. Pancari and Krauser are your top 10, and they were the last finishers on the lead lap. Neil Alexander, the last finisher, full stop. We unfortunately lost Janssen, Hopper, and Cochran, and Valenzuela, Uribe, and Vargas were out very early. Pablo will be absolutely heartbroken at how that has turned out for him. But the drivers will pull into the pits and will now await our podium getters and JR Williams to jump into the interview box. but what a final round. Obviously, drama aplenty once more.
Yeah, just as we expected, Reese. Plenty of drama. However, we didn't expect it that early on into the race. But an all SRT esports championship from both AM and pro divisions, with JR Williams and Blake Ziti winning those respectively. Jeff Groff was your race winner. Yeah, just like many other races this season, Pablo Valenzuela and JR Williams having another coming together, and it's just one of those things.
Yeah, it is indeed, but we'll turn our attention to Jeff, who joins us now, winning the final round of the season there. Jeff, backing up your overall win at Sebring earlier in the season, and once again, it was due to a coming together between Pablo and JR.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to see that, and I got really close to getting some damage on that. I had a 4X. I thought I might have some front wing damage or something, but turned out it was fine, and boy, it was like running from the police. Blake was just right on me the whole race, so...
Yeah, you must have been feeling the pressure, especially late on in the race when you saw Blake getting a 10th at a time and just trying to round you up there.
Yeah, he definitely seemed to pick up the pace at the end. He seemed to get a little bit more comfortable, and I was definitely feeling it.
Well, this is the end of PRL Super Formula for the time being. The series will not be making a return next season. Do you have anything else at PRL that's catching your fancy?
I'm always keeping the option open. This was such a well-run league. All the series look like they're a lot of fun. I haven't done a lot of sports cars, but multi-class does pique my interest at some point. I'd like to stay with the Super Formula if I can, but it seems to be dying out a little bit in terms of leagues. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we definitely will. Well, congratulations once again, Jeff, on another fantastic overall win, absorbing the pressure like a sponge. Hopefully, we'll be conversing in the future.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you for the broadcast.
Jeff Groff there, overall winner. Now we're joined by second overall Blake Ziti, who takes the AM Class Championship in style. Stood by with Mark.
Yeah, I got Blake Ziti up here in the booth with us. And Blake, what a phenomenal drive from you all season long to be in position to contend for the championship in the amateur class. And what a great job of trying to run down Jeff tonight, but unfortunately just did not have quite enough in the tank for it. What were your thoughts when you were trying to chase him down? What did you need to do differently?
Well, I was on the fence of actually going to go get him. I figured if I could get close the last 2 laps like I did, I would make my run for it, but the dirty air was really risky, and knowing that Christian was right behind me and he was driving really great this race, that it'd be better to play it safe and kind of follow suit and then try to make my move towards the end where it's less risky.
Well, that is certainly understandable. A phenomenal job all race long, keeping the car clean, keeping it on track, doing what you had to do excuse me, to secure that championship. Tell me about that. How does it feel to be a champion in here in the PRL series?
I got to tell you, this one feels well deserved. Last season I was about 5 points out with 2 races to go, and the computer took a dump, and I had to retire from that series, which kind of sucked. So, and then I came back from the back of this points lead, and I came from the back and was able to get it with, I think we actually tied, to be honest. So pretty good series between us here in the front.
Well, it was a 1-point gap coming into the race, and it's a 2-point difference between second and third place. So that would be a 1-point swing to your favor. So you are the champion. No, I don't think there would be a tie in it, but I could be wrong. All right. But regardless, congrats, Blake. And before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to for your championship winning ways?
Yeah, I definitely do. I want to shout out to the SRTE team that I'm running with. JR Williams has been a tremendous help this whole series, and all the feedback that we've shared together has got us these championships, and I believe we tied up the team championship too. So a really good way to package up this SF series for the PRL series, and hats off to you guys as always, and the PRL administration that runs it. You guys always do a wonderful job. It's great racing with you guys.
Well, thank you, Blake, for the kind words, and hopefully in the future, in another series, we will see you up here in the booth as well. But for now, congratulations on your championship, and enjoy the festivities to follow.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Brilliant job from Blake Ziti here. And in third overall, it was Christian Jasper. Oh man, what a race it was from you, Christian, making your way up from 8th to 3rd. Ultimately, Blake, we believe, getting the championship over you by a single point. But regardless, that doesn't put a patch on the season that you've had.
You know, I can't be mad at anyone but myself for that one. And even then, I'm not even all that disappointed, especially for the recovery drive. I'm glad I was able to at least keep it out of the wall and keep it out of everybody's way, and then make my way back up. I actually apologized to Blake earlier. I was like, hey, sorry about that. I went in way too hot. But it was incredibly fun. I know it would have been a great fight. Even fighting through the field was so much fun. I don't know what else to say. That was a fantastic season. That was a fantastic race. I feel like it could have been better. Would have been cool to get the 1-2, but I can't say I'm too upset.
Yeah, absolutely. The Ghost Squadra teams had a really good season overall. Jeff taking 2 overall wins, and you always having really good results in the AM class. So I suppose now with Super Formula ending, you guys are going to be turning your attention to what's next.
Yep, that could either be sticking with Super Formula, or we might check out these upcoming series. Not too sure yet, but so far our heart's been pretty set on the Super Formula. It's done us well. Jeff and I met through open wheel racing, and that's kind of what we've been sticking with this whole time. So it's almost kind of hard seeing us in anything else.
Yeah, indeed. Well, wherever you guys end up, we look forward to seeing you again, Christian. Congratulations on the podium.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for putting this on, and thank you to JR for putting on this series. I hope to see it back.
Yeah, we certainly hope so too. Christian Jasper there. And speaking of JR Williams, our final driver interview of the night, Mark's got him for the championship interview.
Well, J.R. Williams, I'm sure you've got Queen playing We Are the Champions in the background, but as another race unfolds, more drama between you and Pablo early on in this race with coming together. Very fortunate you were able to escape from it for the most part. But J.R., how do you feel to be able to take away the championship win, and tell me what your thoughts are on that?
Yeah, I'm very, very happy to get my first PRL championship. Not how I wanted to win the championship. I really wanted a close race. Either come down to who had the better pace in the middle and the end of the race, or see if I could steal the fastest lap, which is what I needed to win it. But unfortunately, yeah, I'm not sure what his plan was there, but he stuck his nose in. I thought he was just trying to spook me, but got turned and lost my front wing. Had to get a new one, and then fight back through the field just to at least get a decent finish.
Yeah, and you did as well. It was a strong recovery drive from you, but more importantly, it was a championship winning effort. As we see on screen with your victory half donut into the wall there, destroying your car. But yeah, overall, I know it's not the race you wanted, but you've got to be thrilled with the outcome. So let me know who you need to give a shout out to for your success.
First off, Blake and Brett Thurman, who raced with me all season. Great teammates. A lot of really good support from the whole team. Thanks to my fellow admins, yourself included, and Arno and Jerome, for allowing us to have this great series. It's a real shame that we had to cut it for the future seasons due to the lower attendance, but we'll see. Maybe in the future we can dip our toes in open wheel again. Really enjoyed it. Thanks to all of the drivers who showed up every week. We had a pretty low starting attendance, but we had a good core of guys that showed up every week. So I really appreciate it. Had a great time, and it's nice to bring the championship home for all the SRT guys.
Yeah, it really is a shame there, JR, that the Super Formula Series is going away for now. Hopefully it can come back later, because me and Reese have really had a fun time calling these races regardless of the car count. But more importantly, it was fun calling you and your teammate Blake to the championships this season. And hopefully in the future, in another series next season, we can see you in the booth as well again.
Yeah. I'm afraid in the GT3 Sprint Series, the only way I'm getting in the booth is if I join as a guest host. But we'll see. And thank you guys. I really appreciate it. You guys put on a good show. I'll check out the broadcast later, and I'll see you guys soon.
Take it easy, JR, and congrats again. Enjoy the festivities.
Well, that's going to round things out then for PRL Super Formula for now, Mark. I do hope that at some point this series does make a return. I echo your sentiments. It's been a lot of fun calling these races with you, and high-level open wheelers always bring the drama. It's been such a fun series to call.
It really has, and I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss the racing. The on-track action here at the PRL is second to none out there that I have seen. I might be a little biased that I am a manager here at the PRL, but there are several leagues out there, and I have not seen any come near as close to the PRL's standards. But Reese, up here at RaceSpot with you, has been superb calling this season for both GR86 and Super Formula, and I look forward to working with you again next season.
Me too, Mark. And on that point, if you're still here with us, remember, sign-ups are still open for the next season of racing at the Precision Racing League. So go to precisionracingleague.com, get your sign-ups in, join the Discord. There's a huge gamut of series ready for the next season of racing. GT3, Fixed and Sprint, LMP3 and GT4, GTP and GT3, and of course Oval Series as well. We have the Sunday Cup and the Wednesday Truck Series as well. Fantastic stuff from the PRL. We say goodbye here on RaceSpotTV. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in over the course of the night. I'm Reese Gardner, Mark Kalin with me in the comms box, and Hugo Luis behind the scenes, pressing all the buttons, bringing you these live pictures. We'll see you next time.